Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on manually labeling data in the Framework4 software analysis suite. So in this video we're going to be covering labeling data from a cormorant, and I've just loaded up the x-axis of acceleration here. I can load up other attributes as well and they're stacked on top of each other, but we're going to be using the x-axis of acceleration to identify behavior today. Okay, so I'm just going to load this up and zoom into the graph. Now, there are four main behaviors we want to identify in this data set. So, just to go through the timeline of what the animal was doing during this deployment. So, the animal was flying here, and then the animal is hunting. So, it's flying, diving down into the water, catching prey, and then rising back upwards. And this is a repetitive behavior which happens across the series. We can see more flying occurs here, and as we go along, the animal is repetitively diving into the water and rising back upwards again, more flying here, and finally again at the end here. So we want to label these four behaviors. Now, to start out with, we need to add our classification groups, or our behavior groups we want to label. Now, all labeled instances will reside in this panel in the bottom right hand corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these by clicking the add button. Flying, down, bottom, and up. Okay, so I've got my four behavior groups here, and inside each of these we have a table view and a graph view, which I will demonstrate in a moment. So what I want to do is I want to label this first section here as flying. What I do is I select the cursor, hold down the left mouse key, and highlight the area I want to label. I can either press the C key or select cut to cut the graph, and we can see two black lines has been added to the graph, and these indicate where the graph is cutted. Now what I can do is I can double click and drag and drop it into the appropriate classification group, in this case flying. Now the flying behavior is now shown in red, which corresponds to the icon shown beside the flying behavior. And I'm just going to do the same with the down pattern now. So I'll do it again, cut the graph and drag and drop it into the appropriate group. As so. Now we can see this is shown in green, and I can switch between tabs to see all of the labeled instances in between each group. Inside a group I can choose to reject the match, which just removes it, as so. I'll just re-add this, there we go. Or I can choose to move it to another classification group. Okay, so I'm just going to add the up behavior, cut the graph again, and drag and drop into the group. And what I can do is all the data in between, I can double click and move this to bottom. So we've got a complete range here of down, bottom, up. And I can do exactly the same again. So I'll do it with this one here. So I'm cutting the graph, double clicking and moving. And again with the bottom. Okay, now if I view the classification group, we can see each of the instances is shown row by row. So here we have our two instances and our two instances here. Or I can view them in a graph view, all overlaid on top of each other, as so. So we can see the behaviour takes a similar shape. Now I can view statistics about the each of the behaviours in the classification. So in the up behaviour here we have 2 instances, the maximum value is 1.3, the minimum is 1.62, and we can view the mean. I can export all of the instances stacked on top of each other, aligned into one file, or I can do another, or I can export each of the instances separately using the export menu. So this wraps up how to label data manually in Framework 4 by using the selection, cutting the graph and drag and dropping it into the appropriate classification group. Thank you very much for your time and thanks for watching.